What if the aches in your joints, the swelling in your legs are not a sentence of old age, but a message? A quiet, persistent whisper from your body that the very scaffolding of your temple is crying out for nourishment. We have been taught to silence this message with pills, to see it as a mechanical failure. Most will hear a list of foods and think the answer lies on their plate. 99% will miss the final unifying principle of deep structure, and without it, you are simply patching cracks in a wall while the foundation turns to dust. Understanding the matrix? Before we can speak of rebuilding, we must first understand what it is that is crying out. We use simple words like joints and legs, but these are just labels for a reality of profound complexity and beauty. Beneath your skin lies a hidden universe, a vibrant living web of connective tissue. This is your body's matrix. It is the collagen, the ligaments, the tendons, the cartilage, the fascia that holds you together, that gives you form, that allows for both stability and graceful movement. It is the very fabric of your being. It is not dead, inert material. It is a living, intelligent system that is constantly breaking down and rebuilding itself. The swelling in your legs, the stiffness in your knees, the ache in your hips, these are not separate problems. They are signals that this living matrix is in a state of distress. There are two primary reasons for this. First, a silent, smoldering fire. This is the chronic, low-grade inflammation that is the plague of our modern world. This fire, fueled by a diet of processed foods, by stress, by a lack of deep rest, slowly cooks and degrades the delicate collagen fibers, making them brittle and weak. It is like leaving the sacred texts of your temple out in the rain to warp and decay. Second, a profound nutritional famine. This living matrix is hungry. It has a very specific appetite. It craves the raw materials it needs to repair and rebuild itself. It craves the building blocks of collagen, specific amino acids like glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. It craves the supporting nutrients that act as the master craftsmen, vitamin C, zinc, copper, that are essential for weaving these amino acids into strong, new collagen fibers. In our modern diet, which is so focused on muscle meat and processed grains, these specific, foundational nutrients are often missing. The craftsmen have no materials. The temple walls cannot be repaired. To address the swelling and the aches, we cannot simply take a pill to silence the message. That is like shooting the messenger who brings you news that the temple is on fire. We must become wise stewards. We must do two things. We must first learn to quench the inner fire of inflammation, and we must then learn to provide the deep structural nourishment that the matrix so desperately needs. The foods we will explore are not just rich in collagen, they are profound ancient sources of nourishment that address both of these needs simultaneously. They are not just foods, they are medicines for the very fabric of your being. First foundation, the living broth. The first and most important source of this deep nourishment is not a solid food, but a liquid one. It is an ancient medicine that has been revered in every traditional culture on earth. It is bone broth. To call it broth is to do it a disservice. It is not the salty flavored water that comes in a box. True bone broth is a slow-cooked alchemical extraction of the life force and the structural integrity of the bones and connective tissues of a healthy animal. It is a liquid jewel, a dissolved foundation that can be used to rebuild your own. When you simmer bones and connective tissues for a long period, 12, 24, even 48 hours, an incredible transformation occurs. The collagen breaks down into a more easily absorbable form called gelatin. This gelatin is a powerhouse of the exact amino acids your own connective tissues are made of. When you drink a warm cup of bone broth, you are providing your body with a direct, pre-digested infusion of the very building blocks it needs to repair your cartilage, to strengthen your ligaments, and to restore the elasticity of your fascia. It is like delivering a shipment of perfectly cut stones directly to the craftsmen who are trying to mend the temple walls. But the gift of bone broth goes far beyond just collagen. The simmering process also draws out a wealth of other essential nutrients. It is rich in glucosamine and chondroitin. two compounds famous for their ability to support joint health and reduce pain. It is a profound source of minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus in a form that is incredibly easy for the body to absorb. And it contains hyaluronic acid, a substance that helps to lubricate the joints and hydrate the tissues, including the skin. Furthermore, the glycine in bone broth is a powerful anti-inflammatory agent and is crucial for supporting the health of your gut lining. A healthy gut is the foundation of a non-inflamed body. By healing your gut, bone broth helps to quench the smoldering inner fire at its very source. The practice is to make this living broth a regular part of your life. It can be made at home from the bones of high-quality, pasture-raised animals. You can sip a warm cup in the morning instead of coffee, or use it as the base for soups and stews. To consume bone broth is a profound act of returning to an ancient wisdom. It is a way of honoring the whole animal and receiving the gift of its deep foundational strength. Second foundation, the whole fish. The second foundational food comes from the clear, cold waters of the ocean. It is the humble, small, oily fish that we eat whole, the sardine. We have spoken before of the sardine as a source of protein and omega-3 fats, but we must now look at it through the lens of collagen and structural health. The true magic of the sardine lies in the fact that we consume the entire creature, the skin, the flesh, and the tiny, completely edible bones. This makes it a perfectly complete package of structural nourishment designed by nature itself. The skin of the fish is an incredibly rich source of marine collagen. This type of collagen is highly bioavailable and particularly beneficial for the health of our own skin, helping to improve its elasticity and hydration. But its benefits extend to all the connective tissues of the body. The tiny bones which dissolve in your mouth are a powerhouse of calcium, but also of phosphorus and other minerals essential for your own bone density. To maintain strong, stable joints, you must have strong, stable bones. The sardine nourishes the very frame upon which your joints are built. And of course, there is the flesh, which is packed with the anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. If inflammation is the fire that is degrading your collagen and causing pain in your joints, these omega-3s are the cooling rain. They are a powerful medicine for quenching this fire. So in a single small can, you have the building blocks of collagen from the skin, the deep minerals for your bones, and the powerful anti-inflammatory fats to protect the entire structure. This is synergy. This is the intelligence of nature. It is a level of completeness that you cannot find in a simple fillet of fish or a piece of chicken breast. The practice is simple. Seek out high-quality sardines packed in olive oil or water. Aim to consume them 2 to 4 times per week. They can be eaten straight from the can, mashed on toast, or added to salads. To eat the sardine is a practice of humility. It is to recognize that sometimes the greatest power comes in the smallest and most overlooked packages. It is an act of respecting the wisdom of the whole, and in doing so, providing your own body with the complete nourishment it needs to be whole and strong. Third foundation, the resilient skin. The third foundational food is one that our modern culture has largely forgotten and discarded, but that our ancestors knew to be a source of profound strength and resilience. This is the skin of healthy pasture-raised animals, particularly chicken and pork. We have been taught by a misguided dietary dogma to fear fat and to remove the skin from our poultry. This is like throwing away the most valuable jewel in the treasure chest. The skin is not just fat, it is a dense, rich layer of collagen. It is the very tissue that gave the animal its own structural integrity. When you eat the crispy, delicious skin of a well-roasted chicken, you are not just indulging in a sensory pleasure. You are consuming a direct source of the building blocks your own skin, hair, and joints are crying out for. The process of slow roasting or stewing breaks down this collagen into gelatin, making it easy for your body to digest and absorb. This is why the meat from slow-cooked preparations like pot roasts or chicken stews is so tender and gelatinous. You are consuming the rendered collagen from the skin and connective tissues. This is a direct and delicious way to increase your intake of glycine, the most abundant amino acid in collagen. which is often lacking in a diet that focuses solely on lean muscle meat. Glycine is not just a building block. It is a powerful anti-inflammatory and is crucial for promoting deep restorative sleep. And as we know, it is during sleep that the master craftsmen do their most important work of repair. The practice is to shift your perspective. See the skin not as something to be feared and discarded, but as a valuable, nutrient-dense food to be savored. When you roast a chicken, leave the skin on. When you make a soup, use cuts of meat that include the skin and the joints. Choose pork products like pork shoulder or even pork rinds from a high-quality source that utilize this precious part of the animal. This is a practice of returning to a nose-to-tail way of eating, a way of honoring the whole animal and wasting nothing. It is a way of understanding that the resilience of the animal's skin can become the source of your own resilience. Fourth foundation, the gelatinous joint. The fourth foundation is perhaps the most challenging to our modern sensibilities, but it is also one of the most potent. It is the direct consumption of the very tissues we are trying to heal, the joints and connective tissues of the animal. This includes foods like oxtail, chicken feet, and cuts of meat that are full of cartilage and sinew, like beef shank or lamb shank. These are not the prized, tender cuts. They are the tough, resilient parts of the animal that require long, slow cooking to become tender. And it is in this long, slow cooking that the magic happens. As these tough, collagen-rich tissues simmer for hours in a stew or a soup, their structure breaks down. The immense amount of collagen they contain is transformed into rich, nourishing gelatin that infuses the entire dish. When you eat a slow-cooked oxtail stew, the meat is falling off the bone and the sauce is thick and unctuous. That thickness, that rich mouthfeel is the taste of pure, dissolved collagen. You are consuming the very essence of the joint. These foods are nutritional powerhouses for joint health. They are the most concentrated food sources of collagen, glucosamine, chondroitin, and hyaluronic acid you can possibly find. These are the very compounds that are extracted, isolated, and sold in expensive capsules as joint supplements. But here you are getting them in their natural whole food form, surrounded by all the synergistic nutrients that nature intended for them to be with. This is infinitely more powerful than any isolated pill. The practice is to overcome our cultural squeamishness and to rediscover the deep, nourishing power of these tough cuts. Learn to make a slow-cooked beef shank soup. Discover the rich, profound flavor of a braised oxtail. Understand that chicken feet used to make a stock, create the most gelatinous and healing broth imaginable. This is not about eating strange foods. It is about returning to the wisdom of our grandmothers, who knew that true nourishment was not always found in the most expensive or tender cuts. It is a practice of patience, of slow cooking, of extracting the deep, hidden strength from the most resilient parts of the animal to build that same resilience within yourself. Fifth foundation, the sacred egg. The fifth foundation brings us to a familiar friend, but asks us to look at it with new eyes. This is the humble egg. While we often think of the egg white as the source of protein, the true collagen-supporting magic of the egg is found in a place we almost always discard, the membrane. If you have ever hard-boiled an egg, you have seen that thin, paper-like film that lies between the shell and the egg white. This is the eggshell membrane. This membrane is a biological miracle. It is a matrix designed by nature to protect the developing chick, and it is composed almost entirely of collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, and glucosamine, the very compounds that make up our own connective tissues. Modern science is now confirming the ancient wisdom that this membrane is a potent medicine for joint health. Studies have shown that consuming eggshell membrane can significantly reduce joint pain and stiffness, often in a very short amount of time. It provides a complete synergistic package of all the nutrients your joints need to stay lubricated and resilient. So how do we consume this? The most direct way is simply to be mindful when you peel a hard-boiled egg. Instead of trying to get the shell off in big pieces, carefully peel that thin membrane away with the shell and consume it. It is tasteless and the texture is barely noticeable. This is a small act of mindfulness that turns a waste product into a powerful medicine. For a more concentrated dose, you can save your eggshells with the membranes attached and use them when you make bone broth. The long simmering process will extract the valuable nutrients from the membranes into the broth. You can also find high-quality supplements made from pure eggshell membrane, which can be a very effective and convenient option. The practice here is one of attention to detail, of finding the hidden nourishment in the parts of our food that we have been taught to overlook. It is a lesson in seeing the value in the small, the thin, the seemingly insignificant. The delicate membrane of the egg holds a profound secret for the health of your joints. To learn to honor it and use it is a sign of a truly discerning and wise steward of the temple.